Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday weekly live stream. Excited to talk to you today. Today, I'm talking about the 7 proven steps to build your dream music career, the ultimate artist development guide. And I'm doing a quick announcement before we get started. I am doing a one-time only artist development masterclass this year. So once a year, I'll do a vocal masterclass. I'll do a artist development masterclass. I'll do a songwriting masterclass. So this artist development masterclass is coming up on May 22nd, and come and join us. You'll see it in all the links. And if you need help, write into info@Carrie Cole and they'll send it over to you. Hi, Kate. Hi, Trace is here. Garrison's here. Martina's here. Good to see everybody. Creative Soul Sync. Sanctuary. Oh, cool. Raider guy. Good to see everybody. So this masterclass is coming up on May 22nd, and people that attend get my artist development checklist for 2025. So this is where I'm really going to, in the 75-minute session, I'm pulling back the curtain on the more behind the scenes process that's helped so many of my clients put out records that actually forward them in their career, that help them win awards and gain notoriety and industry attention, and grow their fan base and all of those other wonderful things. But it really isn't about marketing strategy. And I'm going to be talking about really the details of what's involved. So come and join us on May 22nd. And again, those that attend will get my artist development checklist for 2025 that you're going to want in your pocket. So today, let me just pull over my notes. And it's always the blog of the week where you can find this information. So if you're really interested, you're listening to a particular live stream and you want, to look at it written out, it's over on the blog. So each Wednesday we release our blog of the week, and you can go and get all that information and take a deeper dive. And those of you that come in late or want to see the other live streams, go to our YouTube channel and you will see all of our live streams on the live page. So artist development is really what is behind the scenes. It's not a very sexy word. I was talking to our copywriter about it today or yesterday, and I was like, it's not a very sexy word because it sounds like development, right? It sounds like work, right? It's really the very exciting process of helping the artist grow their skills, develop their brand, their public profile, their artist identity, their musical identity, and then really how to develop them in the marketplace, the brand, the message, the visual brand, and all of those pieces that attract opportunities and set that artist up for a career that's going to be successful. And the purpose of it is to create more success for the artist. And so labels or management, they're very focused on artist development, really helping that artist make a dent in the marketplace. They want their artist to be successful. They're investing in that artist. They want to make sure that they're successful. And so it involves all the key elements that are going to, they're going to, what are words? I can't find words this morning. I haven't been talking, I think. I've been writing, but that are going to qualify that artist in the marketplace and ensure the success, right? And so artists today on their own, most artists are on their own out there, being the music creator, the songwriter, the singer, the producer, the marketer, the brander. You're wearing all these hats. The problem with that is you're working in isolation, and oftentimes just between you and the producer, and there's not enough curation of the artist, the brand, the message, the music, the curation of the actual music to make sure that it has its own brand really associated with that artist, because with 100,000 songs being released on Spotify every day, which is a dizzying number, how are you going to stand out, right? So we need even more today. It's even more important to go through the artist development process and the curation process of curating that music, where it actually has a chance to stand out above the rest. I don't know about you, but oftentimes I'll be listening to playlists. Like I'll put on the Coldplay playlist or something like that, and I'll just be listening. And then as I'm writing or working or whatever, then other songs come on. And every now and then there'll be a song that just pops out, and it's like, oh my God, who is that? Right? It pops out above the rest, whether it's usually the song itself, the combination of the song itself, the voice, and the genre, style, or production. But it's always based in the song and the voice that is calling me. And so you want your music to be able to stand out when people are listening to playlists, because I will literally go and then I will follow that artist on Spotify to hear more of their work, right? So every serious artist goes through the artist development process where their music, their talent, their brand is curated, right? So that means, you start writing for the album. We do A&R direction. We find the right producer. We do production A&R direction, like a creative brief that we give that producer so they have the actual parameters of the project. And it comes from your listening history, but also a deeper conversation between you and I, talking about A&R and how to really, because it's very hard to see yourself, it's very hard to be objective about your own work. And, you might initially get some good feedback from friends or family or, diehard fans online or something like that. But then it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really get on any playlists, or it doesn't really. So why is that, right? So we look behind the hood to see what are artists doing that are successful, right? So the nutshell of the 7 proven steps in this quick blog and quick live stream today, number 1 is exceptional artistry and musicianship. So just like I was saying, when I'm listening to a playlist and then an artist pops out, it's because that artist, as their voice, their songs, their music is standing out above the rest. It has a higher quality of song, higher quality of voice, higher quality of musicianship and production. It's more well done, and chances are that music was curated more, goes through the process. Just like when Adele goes to Rick Rubin and brings her album to him, and she knows he's going to tell her the truth. So, and all big artists use this process. They'll bring their, what they've created to their inner circle, and they'll get feedback. And with the making of 25, Rick said, it's sad you don't have it. And, she just had her baby, and then she worked for several years working with writers. He goes, it sounds like you went all over the world, wrote with a bunch of different songwriters and recorded in a bunch of different studios. And she said, that's exactly what I did. And he said, it doesn't have enough cohesiveness. It's too, you don't have the record that you need. And there's a lot on the line for a big artist. They don't want to make a mistake in the record that they put out. But there's also a lot on the line for you as an emerging artist and an independent artist. The same different scenario, you need to get your music heard and to gain fans and followers so that you can position yourself in the marketplace to grow your brand and grow your music and actually, capitalize on the opportunities that come your way. And if opportunities aren't coming your way and your streams aren't growing, and it's not just marketing tactics, it's the music itself, right? So number one is always exceptional artistry and musicianship. And I have some tips over on the blog for how you can do that. I have a nice little bullet list there. Number two is performance and recording skills. And recording skills kind of wraps into the exceptional artistry. Both of them do, actually. But, when you go and see a performance live, usually you fall more in love with that performer. In today's industry, maybe that happens a little bit less, right? And we want your live performance to outdo your record, right? Because that's where you really make those true fans. And you're recording, and that takes curation. So I was just working with an artist last week in curating a couple set lists for a couple of upcoming shows that she had. Different scenarios required different set lists, and really walking through that process with someone who's skilled in working with artists makes a huge difference in how that experience is going to be for that audience. And if you read Clive Davis's book Soundtrack of My Life, he talks about working with Whitney, how they would after every single performance, they would brainstorm, what worked, we should try this after this, let's try that didn't really work, let's try this after this. It's an art and a science, and also your performance skills. So one of the biggest problems that I see, this is it in a nutshell. One of the biggest problems I see with independent artists today, their focus is on marketing before their focus is really on the curation of the music, right? So because of social media and our focus over there and the dopamine hits that we get, we're more focused on we want to see the result there. So, I need to post more. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. But what is that actually bringing you? So are those posts and that community, what is it actually bringing to you? Is it bringing opportunities? Is it bringing the next level of your career? Or is it just kind of like having a good time on social media or communicating with people? The problem with social media generally is that social media are more flaky followers. People are just scrolling, right? And they want to, their attention is caught by the visual, and that stops the scroll. And then they click if they like what you're saying or something like that. But they're not likely to convert into a true fan. And how many great music artists do you love that you don't follow them on social media? It's not like a go-to, a natural go-to that you're going to go follow an artist on social media necessarily, right? So we have to really look at, in artist development, when we're really trying to develop a career, and that career can be, maybe you want to sing or write songs for a living, or maybe you want to get your music in film and TV, or maybe you want to grow an audience and perform locally and stay at home, or maybe you want to tour and you want to tour the world. There's a lot of different opportunities for how you can build your career. But if you're only focused on making music, putting it out in social media, you're missing out on a whole aspect of building an actual career that, pardon me, is an extremely important process. So number three is the development of a strong song catalog and the curation of your music releases. So it's kind of not enough to just write the song, like you write 5 songs and then you put out 5 songs and then you work, promote on social media and cross your fingers, right? And maybe you do a little boosted ad or something like that. All of that helps, but it's not enough. And usually when we are counseling someone and guiding them at my label services company, people come to write their records with us, and we curate the records. So we curate the songs and we curate the sound and direction, and we really tweak a lot until we get it exactly how we want it. And it starts with those strong songs. So Linda Perry, very well-known Grammy-winning producer, talks about, we just cross our fingers and pray that when an artist comes to work with us in the studio, that they have strong enough songs, because no amount of production can make up for a mediocre song, right? And so we go through this process at my label, where we have artists write this is our suggestion, is to write 2 to 3 times what you need, and then pick the cherries, right? You want to always pick the cherries, like the songs that are really peeking through. And artists don't always know their best songs. They may have their favorites, right? And I know this from being an artist myself. And I went through this process of this voting process that I'm talking about, and curating the songs and the song choice and all of that. I think I had written maybe 25 songs, and we ended up choosing 10. So we have the artist demo the song really, really well, which is a really important process, by the way. Like, really doing great vocal comps. That actually got me my record deal, by the way. I'm not a fan of just throwing down a work tape. Once you finish a song, go and do a vocal comp, like really do a record quality vocal, and then demo all of your songs. And then say you have 25 songs and you're doing a 10-song album, 2 or 3 times what you need. And then we send all of those songs, or a smattering of them, to an insider list, a combination of industry professionals, friends, family, fans, to listen and vote on their top 10 or their top 12 or whatever it is. And it's very interesting, the response that you get. I always have artists go, oh, wow, I wouldn't have thought that song would have really, spoke to people. I would have thought it was this song, or, because you get very close to your material and you have your own personal favorites, but that doesn't mean that they'll be the songs and so that people really love. And so this is a bit of test marketing that actually helps us to decide upon which songs to then invest in. So the development of a strong song catalog and curation of the music releases is really important. And that curation of the music releases, I'm going to be going much deeper into this in my May 22nd Artist Development Masterclass that you guys should all sign up for and come and join me. It's the only time I'm doing it this year. And I'm going to go much deeper into it, because what does that mean, curation of music releases? What does curation mean? What does all that mean? It means a lot of tweaking. And not from my opinion of what you should do. I'm always going to weigh in from my, many decades in the industry, and having been involved with many, many records, and Grammy-winning records and award-winning records, and, notable records. But the process itself, besides the song selection, is then the right producer, and then the producer that can actually develop that song, and then developing a production profile, A&R production profile, or a creative brief to give to them that outlines the parameters. And then we don't make records quickly. I like to make records more slowly, because we want to, get the first draft. Okay, what are we liking about the sound? What do we want to tweak? So we always have drafts, and then revisions, and then draft, and then revision. And usually by the third draft, we've got it. Sometimes by the first, sometimes the producer, with the direction that we give in the creative brief, really gets it. And but the choice of producer is extremely important. And a lot of artists, I see a lot of artists choosing producers based on the feeling that they have with that producer. They're not really listening to the sound that producer specializes in. It's sound over anything else. It's more important. And then it's a process of really tweaking. Number 4 is, I'll get more into it in the masterclass coming up. The developing the niche. Then we want to do brand development. So once we've got the record, we've curated the songs, we've curated the record, the artist has been working hard on their voice, they've been working hard on their musicianship skills, then so that they're, really at the top of their craft and their performance and their recording. I like to start as early as a year ahead before a record. We just made a record here in New York of an artist from Iceland, and she did her demos a year before. And here's one of the interesting things. So she went into the studio and recorded rough demos, but really good rough demos, and had them tweaked and tuned and all that. And then she spent the year listening to those, and it helped her to work the notes into her voice, because one of the problems that artists have with recording is their recording sessions are the first time they're singing these songs, and they're not really baked into the voice. And you don't want your recording sessions to be the first time. So that demoing process is really important. And then it's being reinforced by listening to them over time. And then you have really great vocal waves for your producer to build the tracks on, which is extremely important, or your musicians to play to, which is extremely important. You don't want just rough vocal demos. Anyway, okay, once we have all of that, I could go on and on because I love this process. And then it's really artist brand development. But one of the really cool things when we curate the music is we have the brand already in the album. So it's just a matter now of giving it some shape, of working with creative directors and, brand specialists who specialize in music, who really, and the people we work with are not expensive. There's a lot of marketing, branding people, and most of those people are quite expensive. And, more money doesn't make a better product, or, and they really have to know music. And a lot of those people don't know music. So we have our own little, if you come and work with us, you can take advantage of that. But it's really important. We're in process with about 4 artists right now. And then we work on the branding and the website and the visual. The visual needs to look like the music sounds, all of those amazing things. And how to curate the message and the visual to really reflect what the artist is about at a glance. And that really helps to build that bond between you and the audience, right? And so branding is extremely important. And very often with independents, I see it's not done very well. Also with independents, I see the music is not curated enough. The vocal didn't go far enough. The vocal's okay, but it didn't really, there was no vocal arrangement on it. It didn't, really lead us, or the songs are not strong enough, or the production is not quite right. So these pieces are really important because you're spending a lot of time and resources and energy. And when you do it this way, you're going to skip over a couple of records in the process. So rather than making 2 or 3 records and trying to figure all this out on your own, if you're going through this process, this guided process, you're going to jump over 2 or 3 records in the quality and sort of really jumpstart and kickstart and get ahead. Number 5, I won't be able to go into all of these because I want to open it up for questions, but number 5 is to develop the niche audience and community. And that's really important. And that also really comes from the branding, finding the niche audience, and where they are, but the niche is really identified inside of the brand. And why that's important is because, and it depends, it depends on what the goals are of that artist. If that artist wants to be a local stay-at-home, we need to build the audience locally. If that artist wants to tour, we need to build the audience in those areas that they want to tour. And so that piece is really important. Number 6 is career development, building industry relationships and opportunities. So again, that piece is really missed quite a bit because again, artists are so overly focused right now on just releasing music and social media and thinking that that is going to make your career. And that sadly is not. That, that will help. But again, social media followers are flaky. And if they're not converting into fans on your list, then you're not really building, right? And so that career development is really important. And that you need a music mentor for, someone like myself, or someone who really understands the business, a manager type, who really knows how to build industry relationships that are right for you. Because there's many different sectors and segments or sectors, I guess, of the music industry, kind of based on genres. pockets of people that work in different genres. And so I'm going to look for different people depending on that artist and that genre. And then how to really build opportunities, because they come from people within the industry. And it's it's not as simple as networking. It's more about strategically coming up with a plan, starting with what's in your backyard, making it easy, and then building out as the career grows. But that's really important piece, and that's skipped over quite a lot. And then number 7 is building a sustainable income and revenue. We need, it's one of the first things I do when I put my mentor and music hat on. Mentor, I might be guiding the artistry a little bit more, but when I put my manager hat on, that's when I'm like, okay, how are we going to actually get this artist supporting themselves, and building a plan for that? We may start with them playing colleges, or we may start with, whatever we can do to, is it through live performance? Is it through merch? Is it through products? Is it through a private community? What are the ways in which we can build that revenue? So I'm just going to open it up for questions now in the last few minutes, but come and join me at my masterclass on May 22nd to really dive into this conversation much more deeply. And it's the only time this year I'm giving it, and attendees will walk away with my artist development checklist for 2025. So don't miss out on that. Okay, let's take a look at questions. So put any of your questions in the comments. I see Kate's asking, do you have any scholarships or financial assistance for your curating programs for indie artists? We don't at the current moment. We have plans over the next couple of years to get those pieces in place. But we're not at the place where we're partnering with anyone to do that right now. We were doing scholarships for when we lead our programs. We'll probably do that again for SSC. So you can submit your song and you can win a partial scholarship. That's really the only way that we have that in motion now. Anybody else, any questions on artist development or building your career? And if you guys are coming in late, go over to YouTube and rewatch the live stream. It's just a 30-minute quick live stream. You'll see it over on our YouTube channel on the live page. Yes, I remember that. Kate. Anybody else have any questions they want to ask me? Will there be a replay for the masterclass? Yes, there always is. Yeah. That replay is up for 7 days. Yeah, so make sure you sign up because there's limited seats. Wonderful. Anybody else? Any thoughts you want to share, or any questions? Or how was this? Was this informative for you? Did you get a good takeaway from this? Jesse's saying music for film, like on Netflix, is that harder to do in TV shows? No, I mean, it depends. It's harder to get a feature, like I forget what they call it, like the theme song. But I work with a lot of sync companies that license artists on Netflix and, major shows. That's a very lucrative, also competitive, but, get in the game. There's a lot of, if that's something that you're really interested in, you just make sure, do you have broadcast quality music, Jesse? And you have a good catalog? Because you have to have a good size catalog to start, and broadcast quality. But yeah, but you can do that 100%. I mean, our artists are on those shows. Always informative, encouraging. Thank you for giving us your time. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Yeah, so before you really go, off into the world of sync, you need a catalog of released music that's broadcast quality. For instance, I was working with a sync company several years ago with an artist that I was working with, and she had 3 singles out, and he almost didn't take her because she only had 3, but because of my relationship with them, they signed her. But the reason is for that is oftentimes, those sync agents and music supervisors do a lot of work to, especially a sync agent, if you're signed to a licensing agent, and you're exclusive to them, which is a better situation. And this guy, it does sync for all the major networks. And the reason why he would want to have at least an album of released music is because, they'll be working with a film, and it moves very quickly. So you have to have everything cleared and everything ready. But like, say the music supervisor for the film is like, oh, I love this sound. Do you have another song that talks about this? That'd be great for that scene. I don't hear anything in these songs that would be right for this scene. And then the agent is a little bit embarrassed if they don't have more, because usually they would only sign an artist that has a healthy catalog. So work on that healthy catalog and strong catalog and of really strong songs. And it can't just be your opinion about the songs. It has to be other people's opinions about the songs, right? It has to be very well written. It has to be broadcast quality. And it's very important when you get your songs mastered that the broadcast quality is for the platforms, because if they have different requirements, so if it's not suited to that platform, they won't show that song, or the algorithm won't feature that song or show that song or make that song available. Well, wonderful. Those joining late, go over to YouTube and watch back on our live channel. You'll see this. It's recorded live on YouTube in real time. And if you want more information, go over to the blog and you will see this written out with a lot of little suggestions in there. And if you want to take the further step, come and join our masterclass on May 22nd. Even if you can't be there, get the replay. Don't miss it. But if you can be there, at the end, we are putting my artist development checklist in the chat. So you will get my artist development checklist for 2025, and it's detailed. All right. Thanks for joining me today. And I will see you next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Have a wildly creative week. Believe in yourself. Give yourself juice for your creations. Music is a risk, right? You don't know how far you're going to get. I posted that on Instagram today. But take the risk, because if it works, it's happiness. If it doesn't work, it's wisdom. And, each song is a stepping stone to the next one. Yeah. So believe in yourself, even when you're not where you want to be yet. You need that kind of faith to keep developing and keep growing. And one day you'll be there. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks for joining me today.